Mr. Pillow Funny Stories. Once upon a time, in a lovely small town, in a pretty tiny house, there lived an extraordinary inventor and everybody's best friend, Mr. Pillow, known as Mr. P. He loved to catch Z's, enjoy chocolates, lick lollipops, crunch nuts, admire stars, and marveled at the smell of fresh baked buns. But most of all, he loved telling stories. Mr. P stored dozens of them in his case. Relying on his words, all those adventures really happened to no one but himself. So, Mr. P and Buttons the Whale. Mr. P always liked fish, as well as summer, sea, and waves. But most of all, he liked whales. He liked the largest whales. He saw them in books, in coloring books, on stickers. He even saw some inflatable ones, too. He often asked his quiet friend Herring the herring about them. But she could tell Mr. P nothing about the character of whales, what they are like to the touch, or even if they like making friends. With every passing day, Mr. P looked at Herring, and his wish to meet a whale grew stronger by the moment. Perhaps they could even become friends. One day, while feeding Herring, Mr. P started thinking about whales. And his thoughts were so exciting that he hurried to pack his suitcase. He packed his swim fins and diving mask, as well as swimming cap and 2 biscuits for the whale. Then he hopped onto his bike and, having adjusted his compass, set off to the ocean. After a long time paddling on and on, Mr. P finally reached the coast. The expanse of water before him was so huge, it stopped him in his tracks. Where do I find a whale here? He thought. There is so much water. But nothing could stop Mr. P. He found a small boat, put on his swim fins and diving mask, and started rowing as far as he could. Suddenly, something flashed in the distance. It was a whale. A real whale. A real whale! Mr. P exclaimed. He quickly adjusted his diving mask and swim fins, took the biscuits, and dived into the water. He was so fearless that they would have had him on the board of the Calypso, or invited him onto Captain Cousteau's team, or at least present him with the red hat. With the biscuits tightly clutched in his fist, he explored the underwater world in search of the whale. A moment, and they noticed each other. Wow, you are so big, Mr. P thought as bubbles of air escaped from his snorkel. He held out the biscuits to the whale. Having seen Mr. P and his delicious biscuits, the whale started circling excitedly. He approached Mr. P so closely and so carefully that it looked as if he was doing a slow dance. Mr. P was so happy that he gave the whale his biggest hug, and they kept swimming together until evening came. As happy as calm, Mr. P returned to the coast. He spent a long time sitting by the ocean and looking into the distance while his swim fins and diving mask were drying. And he named the whale Buttons for his big round eyes. Good night. I'm with you.